The sun shone brightly over Earth, casting long shadows across the rugged terrain. In a distant corner of the planet, a team of scientists stood at the edge of a dangerous jungle. This jungle was known as the Death World, a place where few dared to venture. It was full of strange plants and fierce animals that could easily harm anyone who was not careful. But for the Deathworlders, this was home. Deathworlders were humans who had adapted to survive in one of the toughest environments imaginable. They were strong, smart, and incredibly skilled at fixing things. Their survival skills were unmatched, and they had learned to work with the wild instead of against it. As the scientists observed, they saw a Deathworlder named Zora moving through the jungle with ease. Her dark hair flowed behind her as she climbed over fallen trees and ducked under low-hanging branches. Zora was a master of her environment. She could identify every sound in the jungle, whether it was the rustling of leaves from a harmless creature or the growl of a predator. She had spent years learning how to survive, and she had become a legend among her people. When something broke in the jungle, everyone called Zora. Meanwhile, far from Earth, a group of aliens watched Zora's every move from their spaceship. They were curious yet frightened. These aliens came from a planet where everything was orderly and safe. They were not used to chaos, and they had heard stories of the Deathworlders' incredible abilities. Some believed that these humans could fix anything, while others thought they were too dangerous to approach. Inside the spaceship, Captain Jaro, the leader of the alien crew, spoke to his team. "We need to ask for help. Our ship has suffered damage, and we are stuck here. But these Deathworlders, they are not like us. What if they attack?" His voice was filled with doubt. The aliens had technology beyond imagination, but they had little experience with rough environments. They knew they needed the Deathworlders, but they feared what might happen if they approached. As the aliens continued to watch, Zora began to repair an old piece of equipment left behind by a previous expedition. She worked with tools made from natural materials, using her hands to fix the device. Her focus was intense, and she moved with a grace that showed her confidence. The aliens couldn't help but be fascinated. "Look at her," whispered one alien, his eyes wide. "She seems so powerful." "Yes," Captain Jaro replied, "but she is also unpredictable. We must tread carefully." Suddenly, Zora heard a rustling sound behind her. She turned quickly, ready to react. Her instincts kicked in, and she prepared for whatever danger might be lurking. The aliens watched, holding their breath. They had never seen a human move with such speed and alertness. This was the moment when the aliens realized they had a choice to make. Would they reach out to the Deathworlders for help, or would they let fear control their actions? As Zora finished her repairs and stood tall, she seemed to embody the spirit of the Deathworlders. They were survivors, fighters, and above all, skilled problem solvers. In that jungle, she was both beautiful and fearsome, a true representation of what it meant to thrive in a world filled with danger. In the shadows of the spaceship, the aliens contemplated their next move. They could not ignore the power of the Deathworlders any longer. They needed to make contact, but would Zora and her people welcome them, or would they view them as a threat? The next chapter in their story was about to begin. The atmosphere aboard the alien spaceship was tense. Captain Jaro paced back and forth, his mind racing. The ship had sustained serious damage after a collision with a rogue asteroid, and now they were stuck in a strange part of space, far from home. The crew of the alien ship was restless, their anxiety growing by the minute. They were safe for now, but they knew they needed help to fix their ship. "Captain, we must make a decision," said Lyra, the ship's engineer. Her eyes were filled with concern. "If we do not find a way to repair the ship soon, we may drift into dangerous territory. We could be in real trouble." Jaro nodded, understanding the urgency. "I know, Lyra, but contacting the Deathworlders, it's a risk. They might not help us, or worse, they could see us as a threat. But we have no other choice," another crew member chimed in. "We've heard stories about their skills. They can fix anything." The crew gathered around, their faces a mix of hope and fear. They had observed Zara, the Deathworlder, from a distance, and they knew that her people had survived in conditions that would terrify anyone else. Yet the thought of reaching out to them felt daunting. Would the Deathworlders trust them? After a long silence, Jero took a deep breath. "We need to send a message. We must let them know we need help." The crew nodded in agreement. They began to prepare the communication equipment, and as they worked, their hearts raced. What if the Deathworlders did not understand their intentions? What if they rejected them outright? Meanwhile, back on Earth, Zara and her team were deep in the jungle, gathering resources. She felt a strange sensation, like a distant call. It was not a voice, but a feeling that something important was happening. As she walked, she suddenly stopped, her instincts kicking in. "Zara, what is it?" asked one of her friends, noticing her sudden stillness. "I don't know. I feel something is calling us," she replied, looking up toward the sky. "Maybe we should head back to the camp." Just then, the aliens finished sending their message. It was simple and clear. "We are in need of help. Our ship is damaged, and we request assistance. We mean no harm." They sent the message into space, hoping that it would reach the Deathworlders. As the signal traveled, they watched the screen with bated breath. Would anyone respond? Hours passed, and the crew felt the weight of uncertainty. They discussed what might happen if they encountered the Deathworlders. They knew that these humans were not like them. They lived in a world where danger was part of life, and they had learned to be tough and resilient. Meanwhile, back in the jungle, Zara and her team received the transmission on their communication devices. They gathered around, curious about the strange signal. As they decoded the message, confusion spread among them. "What do they want?" one of her friends asked. "Are they lost?" "They say they need help," Zara replied, her brow furrowed. "But who are they? We must decide if we can trust them." Zara felt a mix of emotions: fear, curiosity, and a sense of duty. She knew the risks, but she also knew that sometimes reaching out to those in need was the right thing to do. "We should at least investigate," Zara said firmly. "If they are in trouble, we can't turn our backs on them." As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the jungle, Zara and her team prepared to set out. The call for help had been made, and now a new adventure awaited them. Both sides were about to take a leap of faith, and their worlds were on the brink of a dramatic change. The sun began to rise over the jungle, casting bright rays through the thick canopy of leaves. Zara and her team were on high alert as they prepared for the journey to meet the aliens who had sent a call for help. The air was thick with tension and excitement. This was not an everyday adventure. They were going to meet beings from another world. Zara took a deep breath, feeling both nervous and curious. "We don't know what to expect. Stay close and be ready for anything," she said to her team. They nodded, sharing the same mix of anticipation and fear. They had heard stories about aliens, but they had never encountered one. As they moved through the jungle, the sounds of the forest surrounded them. Birds chirping, leaves rustling, and the distant roar of a waterfall. But today, Zara's mind was focused on the mission ahead. After hours of trekking, they finally arrived at the open clearing where the alien ship had landed. The spaceship was unlike anything they had ever seen. It shimmered in the morning light, with smooth silver surfaces and glowing blue lights. It looked sleek and advanced, a stark contrast to the rough jungle around it. The team stood in awe, their eyes wide as they took in the sight. Suddenly, a door on the spaceship opened with a soft hiss. Zara and her team exchanged nervous glances as they prepared for the unknown. Out stepped Captain Jaro, flanked by 2 crew members. The aliens looked different from humans, tall and slender, with large, expressive eyes and skin that glimmered slightly. Zara's heart raced as she realized this was their first contact. "Welcome, Deathworlders," Captain Jaro said, his voice calm but slightly shaky. "We are grateful you came." His words were translated through a small device in his hand, making it easier for Zara and her team to understand. Zara stepped forward, her own heart pounding. "We received your message. You said you needed help." "Yes," Jaro replied. "Our ship is damaged, and we cannot fix it without your skills. We have heard stories about your ability to repair even the most complex machines." Zara nodded slowly. "We can help, but we need to see the ship first. We can't fix anything until we understand what's wrong." "Of course," Jaro said, leading the way back to the spaceship. As they entered, Zara and her team were struck by the advanced technology inside. It was like stepping into a different world, full of blinking lights and strange devices. Inside the ship, they gathered around the damaged control panel. Zara examined the machinery carefully. "This is serious," she said, noting the cracked screens and the wires that hung loosely. "We'll need tools and parts from outside the ship." Jaro watched closely as Zara and her team worked. He could see their skills firsthand, and it amazed him. These humans were not just survivors, they were experts in their craft. As Zara worked, she explained her methods to the aliens. "We need to fix this circuit here and replace these wires," she instructed. "But I'll need your help to bring the materials I need." The aliens nodded eagerly, wanting to show their willingness to cooperate. Captain Jaro felt a sense of relief. Maybe this would work after all. As they gathered the necessary tools from the jungle, Zara felt a bond beginning to form between them. She realized that they were not so different after all. Both sides had skills and strengths that could be valuable to one another. The day wore on, filled with laughter and teamwork. Zara and her team worked hard to fix the alien ship, and slowly but surely, they began to understand one another better. The arrival of the aliens was just the beginning of a new adventure, one that would change their lives forever. The sun climbed higher in the sky as Zara and her team worked diligently inside the alien spaceship. The air was filled with the sounds of tools clanking and the soft hum of machinery. The Deathworlders had quickly turned the spaceship into a workshop, and they were excited to get started. "Okay, everyone, let's get to work," Zara announced, her voice filled with determination. She had studied the control panel closely and made a list of what they needed. "First, we have to replace the damaged circuits. Lyra, can you help me with that?" Lyra, the ship's engineer, nodded eagerly. She had been watching Zara and was eager to learn. "I'm ready," she said, gathering tools from the shelves. The Deathworlders had a natural ability to adapt, and Lyra was no exception. As they worked side by side, Zara explained each step. "We need to be careful with these wires. One wrong move, and we could cause more damage." She showed Lyra how to handle the delicate equipment. The two quickly formed a rhythm, moving in sync like they had worked together for years. Meanwhile, Captain Jaro observed from the side, impressed by Zora's skills. He had never seen anyone work with such confidence and speed. The Deathworlders were not just survivors. They were brilliant engineers. "What do you need from us?" he asked, eager to contribute. "Can you help gather some materials?" Zara replied, "We'll need new circuits and some strong wiring. The jungle has plenty of natural resources. You just need to look for the right ones." Jaro nodded and turned to his crew. "Let's go find what we need," he instructed. The aliens moved quickly, using their advanced scanning tools to locate suitable materials. While the aliens gathered supplies, Zara and her team continued to work. They pulled out the broken circuits and carefully replaced them with the new ones. Zara felt a sense of accomplishment as she watched the panel start to come together. Suddenly, they heard a commotion outside. Zara rushed to the entrance, peering out into the jungle. She saw Captain Jaro and his crew struggling with a heavy bundle of wires. They were working hard, but the materials looked awkward and cumbersome in their hands. "Do you need help?" Zara called out, a smile on her face. Jaro chuckled, slightly embarrassed. "A bit. We're not used to working in such conditions." He looked at the thick vines and branches in their way. These materials are tougher than they look. Zara laughed and motioned for her team to join her. Let's give them a hand. Together, they helped the aliens lift the heavy bundle and maneuver through the dense underbrush. Once they returned to the ship, everyone worked together, laying out the materials and preparing them for installation. The teamwork was incredible. Zara showed the aliens how to cut and connect the wires, explaining the importance of each connection. As they worked, they shared stories about their worlds. The aliens told tales of their advanced technology and peaceful society, while the Deathworlders spoke of their survival skills and the dangers they faced every day. Laughter filled the spaceship as they bonded over their differences and similarities. Hours passed, and the control panel was finally taking shape. Zara wiped the sweat from her brow, feeling exhausted but proud. We're almost there. Just a few more adjustments, and we should be able to power this baby back up. Captain Jarrow beamed with excitement. I can't wait to see it work again. He had grown to trust the Deathworlders and was amazed at how quickly they adapted to each challenge. As the day came to an end, they gathered around the control panel, their hearts racing with anticipation. Zara took a deep breath and flipped the switch. The lights on the panel flickered to life, and the spaceship hummed with energy. Cheers erupted in the cabin, and Zara felt a surge of pride. They had done it together. In that moment, they realized they had formed a powerful alliance. With their combined skills, they could face any challenge that lay ahead. The bond between the Deathworlders and the aliens was now stronger than ever, and their adventure had only just begun. The spaceship buzzed with excitement as the control panel glowed bright with lights. Captain Jarrow, Zara, and the rest of the crew stood around the panel, filled with a sense of achievement. They had fixed the ship together, and it was time to see what else they could learn from each other. Now that we have the power back on, let's see how everything works, Zara said, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. I'd like to understand more about your technology. She turned to Jarrow, eager to learn. Jarrow smiled, appreciating Zora's enthusiasm. Of course, we would love to share our technology with you. But first, let me show you how our navigation system works. He led them to another part of the ship, where a large screen displayed star maps and coordinates. As Zora looked at the screen, her brow furrowed in concentration. This is amazing. You can see the whole galaxy from here. She pointed at the different colors and shapes on the map. How do you know which way to go? Jarrow explained. We use advanced sensors that scan the space around us. They help us find safe paths and avoid obstacles like asteroids and space debris. He pressed a few buttons, and the screen zoomed in on a nearby star system. This is where we are now. Zara nodded, taking mental notes. We can use similar ideas back on Earth. We have navigational systems, but they are not as advanced as this. She could feel her excitement growing. Maybe we can combine our knowledge and create something even better. While they were learning about navigation, Lyra and Jarrow's crew were busy working on another project. Lyra had always been fascinated by the alien tools and machines, and she couldn't wait to see how they functioned. Can you show me how to use this device? Lyra asked, pointing to a complex-looking tool with buttons and lights. It looks like it could be really useful. One of Jarrow's crew members, a tall alien named Fira, stepped forward. Yes, I can help you with that. She smiled, her eyes bright with eagerness. This is a multi-tool that can adapt to different tasks. Fira explained how the device worked, demonstrating its many features. Lyra watched closely, absorbing every detail. She was amazed at how quickly Fira could switch between settings. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like it, she exclaimed. As the day continued, the atmosphere in the spaceship became more relaxed. Laughter and excitement filled the air as the two groups exchanged ideas. They discussed their cultures, their fears, and their dreams for the future. Meanwhile, Zara decided to share some of her skills with the aliens. You've shown us so much. Now it's our turn to teach you, she announced. Let's learn some repair techniques from Earth. The aliens listened closely as Zara demonstrated how to fix common tools using simple materials found in the jungle. In our world, we don't always have advanced tools. Sometimes we must make do with what we have, she explained. The aliens were fascinated. They had always relied on high-tech solutions and had never considered using natural resources in such creative ways. As Zara showed them how to craft simple tools from vines and stones, the aliens were amazed at her resourcefulness. "Your skills are remarkable," Jero said, clapping his hands together. "We have so much to learn from each other." As the sun began to set outside the spaceship, casting a warm glow through the windows, the two groups felt a deep connection growing between them. They realized that despite their differences, they shared a common goal: survival, exploration, and the desire to learn. Zara looked around at her new friends, her heart filled with hope. "Together, we can accomplish so much more than we could alone. This is just the beginning of our journey." Captain Jaro nodded in agreement. "Yes, we will create a new alliance that combines our strengths. The stars are our limit." In that moment, they knew they were not just helping each other fix a damaged ship. They were building a bridge between their worlds, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together. As the days passed, Zara and her team continued to work closely with Captain Jaro and his crew. They learned from each other, sharing knowledge and skills. The atmosphere in the spaceship was filled with laughter and teamwork, and the bond between the two groups grew stronger. But beneath the surface of their newfound friendship, a shadow lurked, one that would soon reveal itself. One afternoon, as Zara was busy teaching Lyra how to craft tools from natural materials, Jaro hurried into the room, his face serious. "Zara, we have a problem," he said, his voice tense. "What is it?" Zara asked, concern flooding her mind. "Scanners have detected an approaching ship. It's not friendly," Jaro explained. "We believe it is a pirate ship known to attack vessels like ours." Zara's heart raced. "Pirates? What do they want?" "They seek technology and resources. They know we are here, and they will stop at nothing to take our ship and our knowledge," Jaro replied. "We must prepare." Without wasting a moment, Zara gathered her team. "Everyone, listen up. We have a new threat. Pirates are coming, and we need to act quickly." The Deathworlders exchanged worried glances, but Zara's determination ignited their spirits. "We've faced danger before. Together, we can defend ourselves." They all began to strategize, combining their unique skills. Jaro suggested using the spaceship's advanced technology to create barriers and traps. Zara and her team would use their knowledge of the jungle to set up defenses around the ship. As they moved swiftly, Zara led her team to the nearby jungle. "We can use the natural resources to create obstacles," she said, her mind racing with ideas. "Thick vines, sharp branches, these can slow them down." They set to work, tying vines together to form barriers and creating traps that would be hidden from sight. Lyra used her engineering skills to assist Jaro with the spaceship's defenses, setting up energy shields and alarms that would alert them when the pirates were close. The atmosphere was tense but focused. Each person knew the gravity of the situation and worked tirelessly, determined to protect their newfound alliance. As night fell, the jungle became eerily quiet. The only sounds were the rustling leaves and the soft hum of the spaceship. Just then, the scanners beeped loudly, echoing through the ship. "They're here," Jaro shouted. Everyone rushed to their stations, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. Outside, the dark outline of the pirate ship appeared against the starry sky. It was large and menacing, with sharp edges and weapons glinting in the moonlight. Zara and her team stood ready, hearts racing but determined. As the pirate ship approached, it began firing warning shots, lighting up the night sky with explosions. The crew of the spaceship ducked for cover, but Zara remained focused. "We can't let them intimidate us. Stay strong." Captain Jaro quickly activated the energy shields, which flickered to life around the spaceship. The pirates were not prepared for such defenses. We must defend the ship and each other, he urged. Everyone, to your positions. The Dithworlders had their own weapons, simple yet effective tools made from materials found in the jungle. As the pirates boarded their ship, Zara and her team stood ready to fight. Zara took a deep breath, her heart pounding. We will not let them take our home. We are strong together. As the first pirate swung into the ship, Zara charged forward, using her tools to fend off the intruder. Lyra and the others followed her lead, ready to protect their new friends. The battle had begun, and with it came a test of their strength, unity, and determination. They were not just fighting for their lives. They were fighting for the bond they had built and the future they hoped to create together. The night was dark, but they were ready to face whatever came their way. The air was thick with tension as the pirates boarded the spaceship. Zara and her team stood firm, ready to protect their new friends. With every crash of boots on the metal floor, the crew felt a mix of fear and determination. They had faced many dangers before, but this was unlike anything they had encountered. Stay together, Zara shouted, her voice strong. We can't let them split us up. Captain Jarrow positioned himself next to her, his expression serious. We need to hold our ground. We have trained for this moment. Let's show them what we're made of. As the first pirate swung a weapon, Zara reacted quickly. She dodged to the side and swung her makeshift tool, knocking the weapon from the pirate's hands. It clattered to the floor, and she quickly followed up with a kick that sent the pirate sprawling backward. Great job, Jarrow called out, charging forward to assist her. Together, they fought off the intruders with a mix of Earth tactics and alien technology. The crew worked as a team, moving in unison to counter every attack. But not all the pirates were easy to defeat. A larger pirate stepped forward, glaring at Zara and Jarrow. He raised his weapon, but before he could strike, a sharp vine trap caught him by the ankles, pulling him down to the ground. Nice work, Lyra, Zara shouted, grinning. Lyra had used their earlier defenses to her advantage, proving that their hard work had paid off. As the battle continued, the pirates realized they were outmatched. The combination of Zara's team's resourcefulness and the advanced technology of Jarrow's crew was too much. One by one, the pirates began to retreat, unsure of what to do next. Don't let up, Jarrow urged. We must push them back. But in the midst of the chaos, something unexpected happened. One of the pirates, a small figure with a weary look, stopped fighting. Instead of continuing the attack, she dropped her weapon and raised her hands in surrender. Please, I don't want to fight, she cried out, her voice trembling. The other pirates hesitated, looking at her with confusion. Zara noticed the change in the atmosphere. Hold on, she called to her team. Let's hear her out. The pirate looked around, clearly frightened. We didn't want this. We were forced to join this crew. They don't care about us. They just want the technology. Captain Jarrow stepped forward, his weapon lowered but still ready. Why should we trust you? You are with them. I know, but I want to help you, the pirate replied, her eyes pleading. I can show you their weaknesses. I know their plans. I just want to get away from them. Zara exchanged glances with Jarrow and her team. This was a risky move, but something in the pirate's voice struck a chord. If we let you go, how do we know you won't betray us? Zara asked cautiously. I promise, I won't. You've shown me kindness I've never known. The pirate insisted, tears welling in her eyes. Please, just give me a chance. After a moment of deliberation, Jarrow nodded slowly. All right, but you will help us. If you betray us, there will be consequences. The pirate nodded quickly, relief flooding her face. Thank you. My name is Kira. I swear I will help you. With Kira's guidance, the crew quickly devised a plan. She shared information about the pirates' ship and their tactics, which gave Zara and Jarrow a new advantage. Trust was beginning to blossom in a place where fear once thrived. As the battle raged on, the tide started to turn. With Kira's insights, they anticipated the pirates' moves and set traps that caught them off guard. One by one, the pirates fell back, realizing they were no match for the united front of the Deathworlders and the aliens. As the last pirate fled the ship, the crew erupted in cheers. They had not only defended their home, but had also gained an unexpected ally. The fear that had once surrounded Kira melted away, replaced with a sense of belonging. Zara looked around at her friends and allies. "We did it together," she shouted, feeling the adrenaline still pumping through her veins. Trust had emerged from the chaos, and they had formed a bond stronger than they could have ever imagined. In that moment, they knew they could face any challenge as long as they stood together. As the dust settled and the echoes of the battle faded, Zara and her team stood in the control room of the spaceship, their hearts still racing. They had successfully defended their home against the pirates. But more importantly, they had forged an unexpected alliance with Kira. The atmosphere was filled with a mix of relief and excitement. "Is everyone okay?" Zara asked, scanning the faces of her friends and allies. Everyone nodded, though some looked a bit shaken. Captain Jarrow stepped forward, his expression proud. "We fought bravely today. You all showed great strength and courage." He turned to Kira, who stood nervously at the edge of the group. "Thank you for your help. Your knowledge was vital." Kira smiled, gratitude shining in her eyes. "I never expected to find friends among enemies. I'm grateful for your trust." She felt a new sense of belonging among these Deathworlders and aliens, something she had longed for during her time with the pirates. As the crew began to clean up the mess left by the battle, Zara approached Kira. "I'm glad you're here with us now. It takes a lot of courage to switch sides." Kira looked down, her expression serious. "I was scared at first. I didn't know if I could trust you. But I saw how you fought for each other. I wanted to be part of that." "Trust is hard to earn, especially after what you've been through," Zara replied. "But we believe in second chances. You're safe here with us." With a new sense of purpose, Kira joined the crew in tidying the ship. Together, they repaired the damage and strengthened the defenses. They shared stories and laughter, slowly breaking down the barriers that once separated them. The camaraderie grew as they learned more about each other's worlds and cultures. As night fell, Zara called for a gathering. She wanted to celebrate their victory and the new bond they had formed. "Everyone, let's take a moment to appreciate what we've accomplished," she announced, her voice filled with excitement. They gathered in the main room, where the soft glow of the control panel illuminated their faces. Jarrow brought out some alien fruits he had foraged from the jungle, and the crew shared a meal together. The atmosphere was lively, filled with chatter and laughter. Kira sat with Lyra, who was excitedly explaining the different Earth tools. "And this one is called a hammer. It's great for building things." Lyra demonstrated how to use it, and Kira's eyes widened with interest. "I've never used something like that before," Kira admitted, her curiosity piqued. "On the pirate ship, we had to rely on brute strength." Zara joined them, smiling. "You'll learn fast. We all have different skills to share." She felt a sense of joy watching Kira embrace this new experience. After dinner, Jarrow stood up and raised his glass. "To new friendships and a strong bond. We are no longer just a crew of Deathworlders and aliens. We are family now." The room filled with cheers as everyone raised their glasses, their voices echoing in the ship. They felt a deep sense of unity, one that had grown from the ashes of fear and mistrust. As the celebration continued, Zara took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. They had faced danger together, learned from each other, and built trust in the most unlikely of places. Later that night, as the stars twinkled outside, Zara and Kira found themselves sitting side by side, gazing at the vastness of space. "I never thought I would find a place where I belong," Kira said softly, her voice filled with emotion. Zara smiled warmly. "You do belong here. We all do. Together, we can face anything." In that moment, they understood that their bond was more than just a partnership. It was a connection that would guide them through the challenges ahead. With trust forged in battle and friendship blossoming in its wake, they felt ready to face whatever the universe had in store for them. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the spaceship as Zara and her team prepared for their next steps. After the battle with the pirates, they had taken a moment to celebrate. But now it was time to focus on the future. The mood was optimistic, and everyone felt a renewed sense of purpose. Zara gathered the crew in the main room. "All right, everyone. We have made it through a tough fight, but we've also gained an ally in Kira. Now we need to think about our next move." She looked around at their eager faces. "What should we do now?" Jero stepped forward, excitement in his eyes. "We should explore the galaxy. With Kira's knowledge of the pirates, we can find new places to visit and learn from other species. We could trade our technology and ideas." Kira nodded, her enthusiasm growing. "I know of some planets nearby that are rich in resources and have friendly populations. We can use our combined skills to make contact with them." Lyra chimed in. "And we can share Earth's inventions. Maybe they will want to learn how to build tools and machines." Zara felt a wave of excitement wash over her. "Yes, we can show them what we've learned together. This is a chance for all of us to grow and build a better future." The crew began to brainstorm ideas, their energy infectious. They discussed what they wanted to achieve and the types of alliances they could form. With every suggestion, their hopes grew brighter. "We should also focus on improving our defenses," Jaro added. "We cannot let our guard down after what we've experienced. The galaxy can be dangerous." Zara agreed. "We need to be prepared for any threats. Let's create training sessions where we can all learn from each other, both Earth skills and alien techniques." As the day went on, the crew worked together to strengthen the ship and expand their knowledge. They trained in combat, navigation, and repairs. Kira, now a part of the family, taught them some of the pirate tactics, helping them anticipate potential dangers. Weeks turned into months, and their bond grew stronger. They explored new worlds, met interesting species, and learned invaluable lessons along the way. Each planet they visited brought new challenges and new friendships. They became known as a crew that combined strength with wisdom, and soon many sought their expertise. One day, as they landed on a beautiful planet filled with vibrant colors and lush landscapes, Zara felt a deep sense of gratitude. "Look how far we've come," she exclaimed, smiling at her crew. "We started as strangers, but now we are family." Kira, standing beside her, nodded in agreement. "I never thought I would find a place where I belong. You all have shown me what it means to trust and care for others." Jero placed a hand on Kira's shoulder. "You are one of us now. We face the future together." As they began to explore the new planet, they encountered friendly locals who welcomed them with open arms. Zara and her crew shared their knowledge, and in return they learned about the planet's unique resources and customs. The exchange was enriching for everyone involved. Zara stood on a hill overlooking the horizon, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face. "This is just the beginning," she whispered to herself, filled with hope for what lay ahead. As they continued to work together, the crew understood that the future held endless possibilities. They had built a strong foundation of trust, friendship, and knowledge. No matter what challenges awaited them, they knew they could face anything as long as they stood together. In that moment, surrounded by her friends and the beauty of the new world, Zara felt confident and excited. The galaxy was vast and filled with wonders, and they were ready to explore it, hand in hand, embracing a bright future together. In a distant galaxy, there was a giant named Xylox. He was not like any other creature in the universe. Xylox was a titan, towering over mountains and touching the stars. His skin shone like the brightest sun, and his eyes were deep like the ocean. But Xylox was lonely. He lived on a planet that was once full of life, but now it was empty and quiet. Xylox's home was called Galathor. It was a beautiful planet, filled with giant trees and sparkling rivers. Once, it was alive with his people, the Galathorians. They were strong and wise, and together they built a great civilization. They laughed, danced, and shared stories under the glowing sky. But one day, disaster struck. A terrible storm came, more powerful than anything they had ever seen. It destroyed their homes and scared everyone away. Xylox's people fled to other worlds, leaving him behind. Xylox watched as his friends and family disappeared into the darkness of space. He called out to them, but his voice was too big, too loud. No one heard him. As the last ship took off, Xylox felt a heavy sadness in his heart. He was left all alone on Galathor, the only one of his kind. The laughter and joy of his people faded away, leaving only silence. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Xylox roamed the empty valleys and climbed the highest mountains. He looked for signs of life, but he found nothing. The flowers that used to bloom in bright colors were now wilted. The rivers that once flowed freely were dry. Xylox felt like a giant ghost, wandering through the ruins of his past. One evening, as the sun set and the sky turned orange, Xylox sat on a cliff. He looked up at the stars, wondering where his people had gone. "Will I ever see them again?" he thought. Just then, a shooting star crossed the sky, leaving a trail of light. Xylox closed his eyes and made a wish. "I wish to find hope. I wish to find friends again." He opened his eyes and saw the stars twinkling brightly. Suddenly, an idea struck him. What if he left Galathor? What if he traveled to another planet? Maybe, just maybe, he could find a new family among the stars. Xylox felt a spark of hope. Determined, he set to work. Xylox used his great strength to gather materials from his planet. He built a spaceship, large enough for a giant like him. It took days, but he did not mind. The thought of adventure excited him. He imagined meeting new creatures, making friends, and sharing stories again. Finally, after many long days, his spaceship was ready. It was shiny and strong with bright colors that sparkled in the sunlight. Xylox climbed inside, his heart racing with excitement and fear. He took a deep breath and thought, "This is it. I am not alone anymore." With a roar of the engines, Xylox's spaceship lifted off the ground. He looked back at Galathor, the planet that held all his memories. "Thank you for everything," he whispered. As he soared into the sky, he felt the weight of loneliness start to lift. He was ready for a new beginning. Xylox was not just a lonely giant anymore. He was a traveler searching for hope and friendship among the stars. Xylox flew through the vastness of space, his heart pounding with excitement. The stars sparkled like diamonds around him, and he felt alive for the first time in many months. As he sat in his spaceship, he thought about all the new friends he might meet on a new planet. "This is going to be amazing," he said to himself, a smile stretching across his giant face. After traveling for a long time, Xylox finally spotted a blue planet in the distance. It was Earth. Its oceans shimmered in the sunlight, and green lands rolled like waves across its surface. Xylox's excitement grew as he approached. "This is it," he thought. "This is where I will find hope and friends." But as he got closer, things started to go wrong. A storm began to form around Earth, dark clouds swirling in the sky. The spaceship shook as strong winds hit it. Xylox gripped the controls tightly, trying to keep the ship steady. "I can do this," he told himself. But the storm was too powerful. Suddenly, a lightning bolt flashed across the sky, striking the spaceship. The lights flickered, and alarms blared loudly. "Oh no!" Xylox shouted, panic rising in his chest. The ship started to spin out of control. He tried to steer it away from the storm, but it was no use. The wind was too strong, and the spaceship began to fall. Xylox's heart raced as he realized he was going to crash. "Hold on, hold on," he yelled, hoping to steady himself. He closed his eyes and braced for impact. With a loud crash, the spaceship hit the ground and tumbled through the trees. The world spun around him, and everything went black. When Xylox finally opened his eyes, he found himself lying on soft grass. The sun was shining, but he felt pain in his leg. He looked around, confused. The spaceship was wrecked, smoking and broken, but he was alive. What happened? He thought, trying to remember. Slowly, Xylox stood up, using a tree for support. He felt weak and scared. The area was quiet, except for the rustling of leaves in the breeze. He noticed the trees were tall and green, much different from the ones on Galathor. "I'm on Earth," he whispered, a mixture of fear and hope filling his heart. Xylox took a few steps, testing his leg. It hurt, but he could walk. As he moved away from the wreckage, he felt a sense of loneliness wash over him again. "I came here to find friends," he thought, feeling sad. "But now I am lost and alone." Just then, he heard voices nearby. His heart leaped with hope. Maybe these voices belonged to friendly humans. He turned towards the sound and started to move carefully through the trees. As he got closer, he saw a group of people in bright colors, laughing and talking. They were having a picnic. Xylox hid behind a large tree, peeking out at the humans. They looked happy and carefree, enjoying their food and each other's company. "What if they see me?" he worried. "What if they are scared?" His heart pounded as he took a deep breath. "I need to be brave," he thought. "I came here to find friends. I cannot give up now." Xylox stepped out from behind the tree, ready to introduce himself, even though his giant form might frighten them. Would they accept him, or would he be alone again? Xylox took a deep breath and stepped into the clearing where the humans were gathered. The moment he appeared, the laughter stopped. All eyes turned towards him. The humans froze, their faces a mix of surprise and fear. Xylox felt a wave of nervousness wash over him. "What will they think of me?" he wondered. He stood tall, towering over the trees, his giant figure casting a long shadow. His skin glimmered in the sunlight, and his eyes were wide with hope. "I am not here to harm you," he said, trying to keep his voice calm and gentle. But to the humans, it sounded like a deep rumble, almost like thunder. One brave young girl, holding a sandwich, stepped forward. She was no taller than Xylox's knee. "What are you?" she asked, her voice shaking but curious. Xylox knelt down, trying to look less intimidating. "I am Xylox," he replied softly. "I am an alien from a faraway planet. I come in peace." The other humans whispered to each other, unsure of what to do. Some looked scared, while others seemed fascinated. Xylox noticed the girl's eyes were bright with wonder. "Are you a giant?" she asked, tilting her head. "Yes," Xylox said, smiling. "I am a Titan. I traveled across the stars to find friends." He held out a giant hand, palm up, hoping to show he meant no harm. The girl stepped closer and placed her small hand on his. It felt warm and gentle, a tiny spark of connection. Seeing this, the other humans started to relax. A young man with curly hair approached cautiously. "Why did you come here?" he asked. Xylox took a deep breath, feeling relieved that they were asking questions instead of running away. "I was alone on my planet. I wanted to find new friends. I saw Earth and thought it might be a good place." The humans exchanged glances, their fear slowly fading away. "We've never seen an alien before," said a woman with long hair, stepping forward. "You look different, but also friendly." Xylox felt a warmth in his heart. "Thank you. I promise I won't hurt you." Suddenly, one of the children shouted, "Can you help us with our games?" Xylox's eyes widened in surprise. "Games?" he repeated, not understanding at first. "Yes, we play tag and hide and seek. You can be our giant helper." The other children cheered in agreement. Xylox laughed, a deep rumbling sound. "I would love to play," he said, feeling excited. The humans quickly explained the rules, and Xylox crouched down, eager to join. They started with tag, and Xylox gently tagged the children with his giant fingers, making sure not to scare them. As the games continued, laughter filled the air. Xylox felt joy for the first time in ages. The humans were no longer afraid. They were having fun, and he was a part of it. The girl who had first approached him, named Lily, laughed as she ran in circles around him. "You're the best giant ever," she exclaimed. Xylox's heart swelled with happiness. "I am not just a giant," he thought. "I am their friend." In that moment, he realized that he had found what he had been searching for: connection, laughter, and a sense of belonging. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Xylox felt grateful. He was no longer a lonely titan. He had made his first friends on Earth, and he could hardly wait to see what adventures awaited them together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the clearing, Xylox felt a new sense of happiness. The humans laughed and played, their voices mingling with the sounds of nature. For the first time in a long while, Xylox felt like he belonged. He had finally found friends. After their exciting game of tag, the humans invited Xylox to join them for a picnic. They spread colorful blankets on the grass and brought out sandwiches, fruits, and drinks. Xylox watched with curiosity as they shared their food. He had never tasted anything like it before. "What is this?" he asked, pointing to a bright red fruit. "That's an apple," said Lily, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "It's delicious. You should try it." She took a bite and handed it to Xylox. He took the apple in his giant hand and brought it closer to his mouth. It looked tiny in his grip, but he carefully took a bite. The sweet, juicy flavor burst in his mouth. "This is amazing," he exclaimed, grinning from ear to ear. The humans cheered, delighted by Xylox's joy. They started to share more of their food, each person excited to see what the giant would think. "Try this sandwich," said a boy named Sam, pushing a sandwich into Xylox's hand. Xylox took a huge bite, savoring the mix of flavors. "I could eat this every day," he declared, making the humans laugh. As they ate together, Xylox shared stories of his home planet, Galactor. He spoke of the giant trees that reached the skies, the rivers that sparkled like diamonds, and the beautiful creatures that roamed his world. The humans listened with wide eyes, fascinated by his tales. "What else do you have on your planet?" Lily asked, her curiosity growing. Xylox thought for a moment and said, "We have festivals with dancing and music. We celebrate the stars and tell stories about them." The humans were eager to learn more, asking questions and imagining what it would be like to visit Galactor. Xylox felt proud to share his culture, and he could see the wonder in their eyes. As the night fell, they decided to play more games. Xylox suggested a game of hide and seek, and the humans cheered in excitement. "You can count, and we'll hide," said Sam, bouncing on his toes. Xylox nodded and began to count, his deep voice echoing through the trees. 1, 2, 3. As he counted, the humans scattered, giggling as they found places to hide. Xylox opened his eyes after reaching 10 and looked around. With his giant size, it was easy to spot the little ones hiding behind bushes and trees. "I see you," he called out, laughing as he tagged them with a gentle poke. The children squealed with laughter, running away to find new hiding spots. They enjoyed the game, feeling safe and happy around Xylox. He moved slowly, careful not to scare them, and the joy of their laughter filled his heart. By the time the stars twinkled brightly in the night sky, Xylox felt like he had known these humans forever. They had shared food, stories, and laughter. With each passing moment, their bond grew stronger. Xylox realized he had not just made friends. He had found a family on this new planet. As they sat together, watching the stars, Xylox thought, "This is what I was looking for." He felt a warmth inside him that he had not felt in a long time. He smiled, grateful for the chance to start a new life among the humans. With a heart full of hope, He knew this was just the beginning of their adventures together. The night sky sparkled with stars, and the air was filled with laughter as Xylox and the humans enjoyed each other's company. They sat around a small campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. Xylox felt happy, surrounded by friends who accepted him for who he was. It was a perfect night. But deep in the forest, something dark stirred. As they laughed and talked, the peaceful atmosphere was suddenly interrupted by a loud roar. The ground shook beneath them, and the flames of the campfire flickered wildly. Xylox's heart raced as he looked around, searching for the source of the sound. "What was that?" he asked, concern filling his voice. The humans exchanged worried glances. "I don't know," whispered Lily, her eyes wide with fear. Just then, a giant shadow moved among the trees. Xylox stood up, towering over his friends, and peered into the darkness. What he saw made his heart sink. A massive creature emerged from the shadows. It was a giant monster, covered in thick scales and towering like Xylox himself. Its eyes glowed red, and it bared sharp teeth that gleamed in the moonlight. "Everyone, get back!" Xylox shouted, trying to protect the humans behind him. The creature growled and stomped forward, shaking the ground with each step. The humans gasped, fear written on their faces. "What is that thing?" Sam asked, his voice trembling. "I've never seen anything like it." Xylox felt a surge of determination. "I will protect you," he declared, standing tall. He had faced danger before on his home planet, and he wasn't going to let fear take over now. The monster let out another terrifying roar, and Xylox stepped forward, ready to confront it. "Stay behind me," he urged the humans. With a roar of his own, Xylox charged at the beast, his heart pounding with courage. The monster seemed surprised, but quickly turned to face him. It swiped its massive claw toward Xylox, but he dodged just in time. The two giants clashed, and the ground trembled with their movements. Xylox used his strength to push back against the monster, but it was strong and relentless. The humans watched, their hearts racing as they saw their friend fighting for them. "Xylox, be careful," Lily shouted. Xylox felt the weight of their fear, but he knew he had to protect them. He remembered the stories of bravery he had heard from his people. "I cannot let this monster harm my friends," he thought. With a fierce growl, Xylox charged again, aiming for the monster's legs. He knocked it off balance, causing it to stumble. But the creature quickly recovered and roared angrily. It lunged at Xylox, teeth bared. In that moment, Xylox saw a chance. He jumped to the side, avoiding the monster's attack, and used his massive arms to push against it. The creature tumbled backward, crashing into the trees. The humans cheered, their fear turning into hope. "You can do it, Xylox," Sam yelled, his voice full of encouragement. Fueled by their support, Xylox pressed on. He knew he had to end this fight before anyone got hurt. With a determined heart, Xylox charged again, this time aiming for the monster's head. He could see that it was not just a creature of destruction. It was scared and angry. He had to be careful. If he could find a way to calm it down, maybe they could end the fight without more violence. As he approached, Xylox took a deep breath. "I don't want to hurt you," he shouted, hoping the monster would hear him. The creature paused, its eyes narrowing. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for peace in the midst of danger. Xylox stood firm as the giant monster snarled in front of him. The air was thick with tension, and the humans watched from behind him, their eyes wide with fear. Xylox's heart raced, but he knew he had to be brave. "I don't want to fight you," he called out again, hoping the creature could understand him. The monster paused, its glowing red eyes fixed on Xylox. For a moment, it seemed to consider his words, but then, with a deep growl, it lunged forward again, its claws swiping through the air. Xylox quickly dodged to the side, feeling the rush of wind as the claws barely missed him. The humans gasped, and Xylox felt a surge of adrenaline. "I must protect them," he thought. The monster was powerful, but Xylox had strength and determination on his side. He leaped forward, aiming to grab the creature and hold it still. Using all his strength, he managed to catch the monster by its thick neck. The creature thrashed and roared, trying to break free, but Xylox held on tight. "Calm down. I'm not your enemy," Xylox shouted, struggling to keep his grip. The monster twisted and turned, its scales scraping against Xylox's arms, but he refused to let go. The humans watched in awe, cheering for their friend. "You can do it, Xylox," Lily shouted, her voice ringing with hope. Feeling their support, Xylox summoned all his strength. He tightened his grip and pulled the monster down to the ground. "Stay still," he commanded, his voice booming. The creature let out a startled yelp, and for a moment it froze, unsure of what to do. Xylox seized the opportunity. "I don't want to hurt you," he said again, his voice softer now. "We can find a way to resolve this." The monster looked into Xylox's eyes, and he could see a flicker of confusion. It wasn't just a mindless beast, it was scared and angry, just like Xylox had been when he first arrived on Earth. Taking a deep breath, Xylox began to speak. "I know you are strong, and I respect that, but hurting others will not solve your problems. I came to this planet looking for friends, and I believe you can find friendship too." The monster blinked, its fierce expression softening just a little. Xylox decided to try a different approach. He slowly released his grip and backed away a few steps. "I will not harm you if you do not harm me," he said, raising his hands to show he meant no threat. The monster hesitated, its eyes darting between Xylox and the humans. After a tense moment, the creature lowered its head slightly, as if considering Xylox's words. Xylox felt hope swell in his chest. "You don't have to be alone," he continued. "We can help each other. I have found friends here, and I can help you find yours." The monster seemed to understand, its eyes losing some of their rage. Slowly, it backed away, glancing at the humans who were still watching with cautious hope. Xylox took a step closer. "See, we can be friends," he said gently. Suddenly, the monster roared again, but this time it was not a roar of anger. It was a roar that echoed through the forest, a sound of release. Xylox felt the ground shake, but he did not back away. Instead, he smiled, realizing that the creature was letting go of its fear. With a final huff, the monster turned and began to retreat into the forest. Xylox watched as it disappeared into the shadows, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. He had faced danger head-on, and in doing so, he had found a way to create peace. The humans erupted into cheers, their voices filled with joy. "You did it, Xylox," Sam shouted, running up to him. Xylox knelt down to meet their eyes. "We did it together," he replied, feeling proud of his new friends. This fight had brought them closer, and together, they had turned danger into an opportunity for understanding and friendship. After the encounter with the giant monster, the atmosphere around the campfire changed. The humans were filled with excitement, cheering for Xylox and the bravery he had shown. But beneath their joy, a feeling of uncertainty lingered. "What if the monster returns?" Lily asked, her voice a mix of concern and curiosity. Xylox nodded, understanding her fear. "We need to be careful," he said, looking around at the dark forest. "I think the monster was protecting something. There may be other creatures out there." The humans listened closely, realizing that their adventure was far from over. They had faced danger together, but new challenges awaited them. The next morning, Xylox decided to explore the area around the picnic site. He wanted to learn more about this strange planet and make sure it was safe for his new friends. "I will protect you all," he promised as they gathered their things. The humans felt a sense of security knowing that Xylox was by their side. As they walked, Xylox pointed out different plants and animals. "This tree can grow very tall," he said, indicating a giant oak. "And these flowers can change color." The humans marveled at the beauty of Earth. taking notes and sketching what they saw. Xylox felt proud to share the wonders of the planet with them. But as they ventured deeper into the woods, they came across signs of something troubling. Trees were knocked over, and there were deep scratches on the ground. What could have done this? Sam wondered aloud, his brow furrowed in concern. Xylox knelt down to examine the ground. I think it might be from the same creature we saw yesterday. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. The sound was different this time, angrier and more powerful. Xylox stood up, his heart pounding. We need to find a safe place, he urged. The humans quickly followed, their eyes wide with fear. They ran through the forest, zigzagging between trees and bushes. Xylox kept a lookout, trying to see where the roar came from. Suddenly, he spotted a small cave hidden behind a thicket. In here, he shouted, leading the humans toward the cave. They all squeezed inside, panting and trembling. Once inside, Xylox turned to the group. We need to stay quiet, he said in a low voice. The humans nodded, fear evident in their eyes. They huddled together, trying to catch their breath. The roar echoed again, closer this time. Xylox peered out of the cave entrance, trying to see what was happening. Through the trees, he saw the giant creature from before, but it was not alone. There were more of them, larger and more fierce than the first. They're a pack, Xylox whispered. We have to be very careful. They might be hunting for food. The humans held on to each other, scared but determined to stay calm. What do we do now? Lily asked, her voice barely a whisper. Xylox thought for a moment, then replied, We need to find a way to distract them and lead them away from us. But how? Sam asked, looking around. They're too big and strong. Xylox nodded, knowing it wouldn't be easy. I can draw their attention, he said, feeling the surge of bravery. I can make a loud noise to lure them away. While I do that, you all can sneak out of the cave and find a safe place. The humans looked at Xylox, worry mixed with admiration in their eyes. Are you sure? Lily asked, concern etched on her face. Xylox smiled gently. I am strong, and I won't let anything happen to you. Trust me. With a plan in place, Xylox took a deep breath and prepared himself. He had faced danger before, and now he would do it again for his friends. The humans nodded, their faces filled with determination. Together, they could overcome anything, even new challenges that lay ahead. As the roar of the pack faded into the distance, Xylox took a deep breath. He knew he had to act quickly. Remember, stay close to each other and follow me, he instructed the humans. They nodded, their faces a mix of fear and determination. Together, they were ready to face whatever came next. Xylox led the group out of the cave, his giant form casting a long shadow in the morning light. The forest was quiet now, but he remained alert, knowing that danger could be lurking nearby. We need to find a safe place to rest and plan our next move, he said, looking back at his friends. As they walked, the humans began to open up about their fears. What if those monsters find us again? Sam asked, worry in his voice. What if they come for you, Xylox? Lily added, her eyes wide. Xylox understood their fears. He felt a heavy weight in his chest, knowing that he had brought them into danger. We will be okay, he reassured them. We can face this together. I have faced many challenges before, and I will do everything I can to protect you. The humans looked at him, their trust in him growing. It was a heavy responsibility, but Xylox felt determined to keep his promise. They eventually reached a clearing surrounded by tall trees, a peaceful place with sunlight streaming through the leaves. This will be a good spot to rest, Xylox said, lowering himself to the ground so he wouldn't block the sunlight. The humans gathered around him, relieved to find a moment of safety. As they sat together, Xylox spoke up. I want to apologize for bringing you into danger. I didn't know those creatures would be here. I never wanted to put you at risk. The humans listened, their faces showing understanding. You were brave, Xylox, Lily said softly. You protected us when we needed it most. But we still have to face the truth, Sam added. We can't ignore the danger out there. Xylox nodded, knowing they were right. You're right. We must find a way to ensure our safety and understand why those creatures are here. He felt a new determination rise within him. I think we should explore the area more, to find out if there are other creatures and what they want. We may even find a way to communicate with them. The humans exchanged glances, their eyes filled with hope. That sounds like a good plan, Lily said. As they began to strategize their next steps, Xylox felt a sense of belonging. He was not just a giant from another planet. He was part of a team. The humans' trust and friendship strengthened his resolve. They would face the unknown together. Later that day, they began their journey deeper into the woods, each step filled with a mixture of excitement and caution. Xylox led the way, his giant figure offering comfort to the humans behind him. They talked about what they might discover, sharing their hopes and fears along the way. With every passing hour, they grew more comfortable with each other. Xylox listened as they shared stories of their lives, their dreams, and their fears. He began to understand the depth of their feelings and the challenges they faced in their own lives. In turn, they listened to his tales of Galathur, the struggles he faced as a lonely titan, and the strength he found in friendship. As the sun began to set, casting a golden light across the forest, Xylox felt a warmth in his heart. They were on a journey not just through the woods, but also toward understanding and acceptance. Together, they would find a way to face the challenges ahead, creating bonds that would last a lifetime. Xylox knew that whatever dangers awaited them, they would tackle them together. And that made all the difference. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest was painted in shades of orange and purple. Xylox, now fully aware of the responsibilities he held, walked alongside his human friends with renewed purpose. They had faced many challenges, and together, they would find a way to navigate the unknown. Look, Sam exclaimed, pointing toward a small stream sparkling in the fading light. That water looks clear and fresh. The group paused, intrigued. Let's take a break here, Lily suggested, her voice cheerful. Xylox nodded, pleased to see their spirits lifting after such a long day. They approached the stream, its gentle sound soothing their nerves. Xylox knelt down, scooping some water into his large hands and offering it to the humans. They took turns drinking, grateful for the cool refreshment. This is perfect, Lily said, wiping her mouth with a smile. We needed this. As they sat by the stream, Xylox took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. He looked at his friends, Sam, Lily, and the others, feeling a strong bond growing between them. I was alone for so long, he began, his voice thoughtful. I never knew how much I needed friends until I found you all. The humans listened intently. You've shown us what true courage looks like, Xylox, Sam said, his eyes bright. We wouldn't have made it this far without you. Xylox felt a warm glow of pride. He realized that they had become a family in a short time, facing challenges and supporting each other. After resting, they continued their journey along the stream. The air was filled with the sounds of nature, birds chirping, leaves rustling, and the gentle flow of water. It was peaceful, a stark contrast to the danger they had faced earlier. Yet, Xylox knew that peace could be fragile, and they needed to stay alert. As they walked, they began to discuss their next steps. We need to find a way to communicate with those creatures, Lily suggested. Maybe we can learn what they want. Xylox nodded, excited about the idea. If we can understand their needs, we might be able to coexist, he replied. The group shared ideas, each suggestion more creative than the last. They talked about making sounds to get the creature's attention, or using colors and patterns to communicate. Xylox listened carefully, amazed by the humans' resourcefulness. They were intelligent and brave, and together they could achieve anything. As night fell, the stars twinkled overhead like tiny beacons of hope. Xylox gazed at the sky, feeling a deep sense of connection to this planet. "I want to protect this place and its creatures," he said softly. "I want to make sure that everyone can live in harmony." The humans nodded, their faces illuminated by the starlight. "We can do this together," Sam said, his voice filled with determination. "We will find a way to bring peace to both our worlds." With that, the group made a pact under the starry sky. They promised to work together, to learn and grow, and to face any challenges that lay ahead. They would not only be allies, but also advocates for understanding between all beings. As they settled down for the night, Xylox felt a sense of hope swell within him. He had found not only friends but a family who believed in a brighter future. They would face new challenges together, learning and evolving as they went. And as he closed his eyes, Xylox knew that this was just the beginning of an incredible journey filled with adventure, friendship, and the promise of hope for the future. On a bright and strange planet called Zoltar, the sky was filled with two suns. The air was thick with colorful plants that seemed to dance in the gentle breeze. Many different alien species lived here, each with their own customs and ways of life. But today, something unusual was about to happen that would change everything. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed across the landscape. It came from the sky. The aliens looked up, their eyes wide with curiosity and fear. A spaceship, unlike anything they had ever seen, was descending. It had a shiny silver surface that reflected the bright suns, making it look like a shooting star. As the ship landed with a soft thud, the ground trembled slightly. The aliens gathered, whispering and pointing at the strange machine. The hatch of the spaceship opened slowly, and a ramp extended to the ground. The aliens held their breath, wondering who or what would come out. They had heard tales of other worlds and the creatures that lived there, but nothing could prepare them for what they were about to see. Out stepped a single figure. It was a human, a Deathworlder. He stood tall with broad shoulders and a confident stance. His skin was a warm shade of tan, and his hair was dark and wild, blowing slightly in the breeze. He wore strange clothes that looked tough and durable, as if he had been through many battles. The aliens were both fascinated and terrified. They had never seen a creature like him before. As the Deathworlder looked around, he noticed the many eyes staring at him. He raised a hand in greeting, smiling widely. The aliens, unsure of how to respond, stepped back, their hearts racing. Some of them thought he might be a warrior, ready to conquer their world. The Deathworlder took a few steps forward, trying to make peace. He made gestures, waving his arms and pointing to himself. "I come in peace," he said, his voice deep and strong. But the aliens did not understand his words. They only saw a strange creature that could be dangerous. A small alien with bright blue skin and 3 eyes stepped forward. This alien was brave, and it wanted to learn more. It chirped a series of sounds, trying to communicate. The Deathworlder listened, nodding his head. He knew that communication could be tricky, especially with different species. Suddenly, the alien made a strange movement, resembling a dance. The Deathworlder chuckled, thinking it was a friendly gesture. In response, he attempted to mimic the dance, swinging his arms and hopping around. The aliens looked at each other in confusion, unsure of what to make of this strange performance. Laughter erupted among the onlookers, breaking the tension. However, not all aliens were amused. The larger creature, covered in dark scales, growled and moved closer. It saw the humans dance as a challenge. The Deathworlder noticed the creature's angry expression and stopped dancing. He quickly raised his hands, showing that he meant no harm. The scene was a mix of confusion, fear, and laughter. The Deathworlder stood in the center, feeling both out of place and excited. He had traveled far and faced many challenges, but this was different. This planet was alive with color, sound, and mystery. He knew he needed to find a way to connect with these aliens if he wanted to survive. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the planet, the Deathworlder took a deep breath. He realized that this strange new world held endless possibilities. He was ready for whatever came next. Would the aliens accept him, or would they see him as a threat? Only time would tell. But one thing was clear. His adventure had just begun. The Deathworlder stood in the middle of the strange gathering, surrounded by curious and fearful aliens. The sun began to dip lower in the sky, painting the horizon in shades of orange and purple. He could feel the weight of their gazes on him, a mix of wonder and caution. The air was thick with anticipation, and he knew he had to make a better first impression. With a determined smile, he took a step forward. "Hello, I'm human," he said clearly, hoping the aliens would understand. They tilted their heads, trying to comprehend the sound of his voice. The small blue alien from earlier looked especially curious. It chirped excitedly and hopped closer, its 3 eyes sparkling with interest. The Deathworlder decided to try a different approach. He pointed to himself and said, "I am, friend." He spread his arms wide to show he meant no harm. The blue alien mimicked him, raising its tiny arms and making a series of happy sounds. Other aliens watched with a mix of confusion and amusement. Encouraged by this, the Deathworlder reached into a small pouch on his belt and pulled out a bright green fruit. It was a snack he always carried with him from Earth. He held it up, waving it slightly. "Food. Good," he declared. The aliens stared at the fruit, their eyes wide. The larger, scaled alien growled softly, unsure of this new offering. The blue alien, however, was bold. It stepped forward and reached out to grab the fruit. The Deathworlder gently placed it in the alien's hand, smiling. The blue alien sniffed the fruit and then took a tiny bite. Its eyes widened in surprise. It let out a joyful sound and began to dance in circles, sharing the fruit with others nearby. The atmosphere shifted. Laughter echoed as the blue alien shared the snack, and soon other aliens began to approach the Deathworlder. They were still cautious, but curiosity was taking over. The Deathworlder saw this as a sign of hope. He offered more fruit, and they accepted it, each alien taking turns to taste the strange treat. As the aliens munched happily, the Deathworlder seized the moment. He pointed to the sky and made a motion as if flying. "Spaceship," he exclaimed, hoping to share his story. The blue alien tilted its head, then made a gesture as if imitating a spaceship landing. Other aliens joined in, mimicking the motion, and giggles spread through the crowd. But not everyone was thrilled. The larger alien, still watching from the edge, stepped forward, its expression serious. It growled again, a deep sound that sent a ripple of fear through the others. The Deathworlder noticed the shift in mood and held up his hands, trying to calm everyone down. "I am not here to fight," he shouted. "I want to be friends." He took a step back, showing he meant no harm. The crowd went quiet, all eyes on the Deathworlder and the large alien. After a moment that felt like an eternity, the larger alien let out a huff and relaxed its posture. It approached slowly, eyeing the Deathworlder closely. The Deathworlder stood still, hoping he was not about to make a mistake. Finally, the larger alien extended a clawed hand. The Deathworlder took a deep breath and reached out, shaking hands with the creature. It was a small gesture, but it meant a lot. The other aliens erupted in cheers, their fears slowly melting away. With this simple handshake, a bridge was built. The Deathworlder smiled, knowing that they had taken their first step toward understanding each other. This moment of connection would mark the beginning of a new friendship, one that held the promise of exciting adventures ahead. The days passed quickly on the vibrant planet of Zoltar. The Deathworlder had made friends with the blue alien and others. They laughed together, shared food, and learned about each other's worlds. But the larger alien, whom they called Grak, still watched carefully, unsure of this human's strength and purpose. One sunny morning, the aliens gathered in a colorful open area, surrounded by tall, swaying plants. The blue alien hopped excitedly, drawing everyone's attention. "Challenge," it chirped, bouncing up and down. The crowd murmured, intrigued. The Death Worlder tilted his head. "Challenge?" he asked, curious. The blue alien nodded enthusiastically and began to gesture wildly. It wanted to see how strong and clever the Death Worlder really was. The larger aliens exchanged glances, their expressions serious. This was a test, a way to prove his worth. Grak stepped forward, its scales glinting in the sunlight. "You must compete," it rumbled, its voice deep and commanding. "Show us your strength and skill." The crowd buzzed with excitement. The Death Worlder felt a mix of nervousness and thrill. He had faced many challenges before, but this was different. This was about proving himself to new friends. The first challenge was a strength test. The aliens led the Death Worlder to a large boulder, round and heavy. Grak grinned, confident that the human would fail. "Lift it," it demanded, stepping back to watch. The Death Worlder approached the boulder, eyeing it carefully. He took a deep breath, remembering the hard work he had done back on Earth. With a grunt of effort, he bent down, gripped the boulder, and lifted it high above his head. Gasps filled the air. The aliens stared in disbelief. Grak's mouth fell open, and the crowd erupted in cheers. "Impressive." The blue alien shouted, dancing around in joy. The Death Worlder smiled, feeling the surge of pride. He had passed the first challenge. Next came a test of speed. The aliens set up a race through a winding path filled with strange plants and obstacles. The Death Worlder looked at the other competitors, large and fast aliens, each confident in their abilities. The blue alien gave him a thumbs up, encouraging him to give it his all. When the race started, the Death Worlder sprinted with all his might. He dodged tall plants and jumped over fallen logs. The aliens watched in awe as he moved quickly and skillfully. He could feel the adrenaline rushing through him. In the final stretch, he saw Grak ahead, pushing forward with great speed. The Death Worlder focused, pushing himself harder. Just as he reached the finish line, he lunged forward, crossing it with a triumphant shout. The crowd went wild, cheering for their new hero. After the race, the final challenge was one of cleverness. The aliens presented a puzzle made of colorful stones. They wanted to see if the Death Worlder could solve it. He studied the stones, recalling the puzzles he had encountered on Earth. With a smile, he began to move the stones around. The aliens leaned closer, their eyes wide with anticipation. After a few moments of deep thinking, he placed the final stone in place, completing the puzzle. Cheers erupted once more. The Death Worlder had succeeded in all three challenges. Grak stepped forward, a proud look in its eyes. "You are strong and clever," it said. "You have proven yourself." The Death Worlder felt a warm sense of belonging. This day marked a turning point. He was no longer just a stranger. He was now a friend, accepted and respected by the aliens of Zoltar. With the challenges behind him, the Death Worlder felt a sense of belonging grow within him. The aliens of Zoltar had accepted him, and he was no longer just an outsider. Each day brought new experiences and laughter, but the real treasure was the friendships he was forming. One sunny afternoon, the Death Worlder sat with the blue alien and a few others beneath a giant tree with shimmering leaves. The blue alien's name was Zik, and it was always full of energy. Zik loved to share stories and asked the Death Worlder about life on Earth. "What is your home like?" Zik chirped, its three eyes sparkling with curiosity. The Death Worlder smiled, thinking back to the tall buildings and busy streets. "It's very different," he replied. "There are many people, and we live in big cities. We have parks and forests too, but they can be dangerous." Zik tilted its head, intrigued. "Dangerous? Like how?" The Death Worlder laughed lightly, remembering the many challenges he had faced back on his home planet. "We have wild animals and storms that can be very strong, but we learn to survive." As they talked, Grak approached, listening quietly. It was impressed by how the Death Worlder spoke about his home. "On Zoltar, we have dangers too," Grak said, stepping forward. But we have learned to work together. The Deathworlder nodded, realizing that despite their differences, they shared a common goal: survival and friendship. We can learn from each other, he said, feeling excited about their growing bond. Let's teach each other our skills. Zik jumped up in excitement. Yes, let's share. You teach us human games, and we can show you our Zoltar games. The Deathworlder agreed, eager to learn more about his new friends and their culture. The next day, they gathered again, this time for fun. The Deathworlder introduced them to some classic Earth games, like tag and hide and seek. The aliens watched with wide eyes, fascinated by the speed and laughter that filled the air. At first, the aliens struggled to keep up. Zik tripped over its own feet, while Grak was too big to hide behind trees. But soon, they found their rhythm. They adapted the games, making them unique to Zoltar. The Deathworlder laughed, enjoying the playful spirit that brought everyone closer together. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in pinks and purples, the group sat together, panting and smiling. That was so much fun, Zik exclaimed, its eyes twinkling with joy. Grak, usually so serious, let out a deep chuckle. I did not expect to enjoy such games, it admitted. The Deathworlder felt a warm glow of happiness. This was what friendship felt like, sharing joy and laughter. They began to share their stories, tales of adventure, and moments of bravery. Each story added another layer to their bond. That night, as they sat under the stars, the Deathworlder looked around at his friends. He saw Zik still buzzing with excitement, Grak with a relaxed smile, and other aliens who were now comfortable around him. They had come together, creating a family of sorts, united by their differences. From that moment on, their friendship only grew stronger. They learned from each other, celebrated their unique cultures, and discovered the beauty in their differences. The Deathworlder knew this was just the beginning of many adventures ahead. Together, they would face whatever challenges the universe threw their way, ready to fight for their newfound family. The peaceful days on Zoltar had made the Deathworlder feel at home. He laughed with his friends, shared stories, and enjoyed the beauty of the planet. But one clear night, as they sat together under the stars, the joy was suddenly replaced by a feeling of unease. Grak, who had been keeping watch, stood up abruptly. "Something is coming," it said, its voice low and serious. The Deathworlder felt a shiver run down his spine. He looked at Zik, whose 3 eyes were wide with fear. "What do you mean?" the Deathworlder asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Before Grak could answer, a loud noise echoed in the distance. It sounded like thunder, but it was different, deeper, and more menacing. The ground trembled beneath their feet. "We need to prepare," Grak said urgently. "A hostile alien race is approaching. They want to take our resources and conquer our land." The Deathworlder's heart raced. He had heard stories of such threats, but he never thought he would face one. "What can we do?" he asked, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Grak nodded, its eyes fierce. "We must unite. If we work together, we can protect Zoltar." The Deathworlder felt a surge of determination. He had faced danger before, and he would not let his new friends down. The group quickly gathered the other aliens. Panic spread among them as they realized the danger that loomed. The Deathworlder stepped forward, raising his hands to calm everyone. "Listen, we can win if we work as a team. I have fought battles before. We will prepare for whatever comes." Zik chirped, "What do we do?" The Deathworlder took a deep breath and began to form a plan. "First, we need to gather supplies, food, weapons, and anything we can use to defend ourselves. We need to know our strengths and weaknesses." As they worked through the night, the Deathworlder felt a sense of purpose. He directed the aliens, showing them how to set traps and build barriers. They gathered stones, sticks, and anything they could find. Grak used its strength to move heavy objects, while Zik organized everyone into teams, each with a specific task. As dawn broke, the tension in the air thickened. The loud noise grew closer, and shadows began to loom on the horizon. The Deathworlder stood at the front, heart pounding. He could see the enemy ships, dark and menacing, gliding through the sky. "They're here," he shouted, rallying his friends. The aliens took their positions, hearts racing but ready. The Deathworlder stood beside Grak, feeling the power of their bond. Together, they would face this threat head-on. As the enemy ships descended, beams of light shot down, illuminating the area. The Deathworlder felt a rush of adrenaline. Suddenly, the ground shook violently as the enemy landed. Strange creatures with sharp teeth and glowing eyes poured out of the ships. They looked fierce and ready to attack. The Deathworlder raised his voice. "Hold the line. Remember our plan." The aliens stood firm, ready to defend their home. The Deathworlder grabbed a makeshift weapon, a sturdy stick, and prepared to fight. Zik, filled with courage, grabbed a small stone and stood beside him. Grak growled, a deep sound that shook the ground, ready to protect its friends. As the battle began, chaos erupted. The Deathworlder fought with everything he had, dodging and striking. He could hear the sounds of battle, the shouts of his friends, and the growls of the enemies. Together, they fought, united against the common threat. In that moment, the Deathworlder knew they would either win or lose together, and he was determined to protect his new family at all costs. The battle began with chaos erupting all around. The Deathworlder stood tall among his friends, his heart pounding as the enemy creatures charged forward. They were a dark mass, fierce and menacing, with sharp teeth and glowing eyes. But the Deathworlder felt a fire inside him. He would not let his new family down. "Stay together," he shouted, raising his makeshift weapon high. Zik stood beside him, small but brave. It picked up a handful of stones, ready to throw them at the attackers. Grak growled loudly, its powerful presence providing strength to the other aliens. The Deathworlder felt a surge of confidence. They would fight as one. As the enemy rushed forward, the Deathworlder swung his stick, striking the first attacker that came too close. It stumbled back, surprised by the human strength. "We can do this," he called out, hoping to encourage his friends. Zik threw a stone, hitting another enemy square in the chest. The creature roared in anger, turning its attention to the blue alien. The Deathworlder glanced at Zik, ready to help. "Keep moving," he shouted. Together, they dodged the enemies, working as a team. Zik's speed and the Deathworlder's strength created a perfect balance. They moved swiftly, making sure to protect each other. Grak was in the thick of the fight, its powerful claws striking down enemies left and right. The larger alien was a force to be reckoned with, and the Deathworlder felt proud to fight alongside it. "Grak, to your left," he warned, pointing as another enemy approached. Grak turned just in time, using its strength to swat the creature away. The air was filled with the sounds of battle, cries of anger, shouts of determination, and the heavy thud of bodies hitting the ground. The Deathworlder noticed that some of the other aliens were hesitating, fear in their eyes. "Don't give up," he yelled. "We fight for our home and each other." Inspired by his words, the aliens rallied. They formed a line, each using their unique skills to push back the attackers. Zik darted in and out, throwing stones and distracting enemies, while other aliens set traps that caught the creatures off guard. The Deathworlder felt the energy shift. They were fighting as one, a united front against the dark threat. Suddenly, a loud roar came from behind the Deathworlder. He turned to see a massive enemy charging straight at him. Panic flashed through his mind, but he quickly steeled himself. "I won't back down," he thought. As the creature lunged, he sidestepped and swung his stick with all his strength. The blow connected, and the creature stumbled, giving the Deathworlder a moment to breathe. But just as he felt relief, he saw Zik in trouble. An enemy had grabbed the small alien, lifting it off the ground. "Zik," the Deathworlder shouted, rushing forward without thinking. He swung his stick again, aiming for the creature's arm. The blow landed, and it dropped Zik, who landed safely on the ground. Zik shook off the shock and quickly got back into the fight. "Thanks," it chirped, rejoining the battle with renewed determination. The Deathworlder felt a rush of pride. They were fighting for each other, and that made them strong. As the fight continued, the aliens pushed forward, gaining ground against the enemy. The Deathworlder noticed Grak leading a charge, rallying the others. "Let's push them back." Grak roared, its voice echoing with power. The Deathworlder joined the charge, feeling a bond like never before. Together, they fought bravely, side by side, showing the enemy that they would not back down. With each enemy they defeated, their confidence grew. The Deathworlder realized that this was not just a fight for survival, it was a fight for friendship, trust, and a new home. And together, they would win. The battle raged on, fierce and chaotic. The Deathworlder felt every ounce of energy rushing through him as he fought alongside his friends. They were a team now, united against a common enemy. Each swing of his stick, each shout of encouragement, filled him with a sense of purpose. He knew they had to win, not just for themselves, but for their home on Zoltar. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the heat intensified, mixing with the sweat and adrenaline that coursed through the fighters. The sounds of the battle echoed all around, alien cries of anger, the heavy thud of feet against the ground, and the clashing of makeshift weapons. The Deathworlder's heart raced, and he scanned the area for his friends, determined to keep them safe. Grak was a whirlwind of power, its claws striking down enemy after enemy. The larger alien had become a true warrior, its growls of determination inspiring the others. Zik darted around, throwing stones and using its agility to confuse the enemies. "Keep going," the Deathworlder shouted, pushing himself to keep up with the pace. Suddenly, he spotted a group of enemies trying to flank them from the left. They were sneaking through the thick plants, ready to attack. "Grak!" he yelled, pointing urgently. Grak turned just in time to see the incoming threat. With a mighty roar, it charged forward, using its strength to block their path. The Deathworlder felt a mix of fear and pride. They had come so far, and they were fighting for each other. As Grak pushed back the enemy, the Deathworlder jumped into the fray, swinging his stick with all his might. He fought with everything he had, knowing that their victory depended on their unity and courage. But the enemy kept coming. Despite their brave efforts, the Deathworlder could see that some of his friends were growing tired. "Don't give up," he called out. "We are stronger together." His words echoed in the chaos, and he saw Zik nod, determination shining in its eyes. Then, in a sudden move, one of the enemy creatures lunged at the Deathworlder. He barely dodged, feeling the rush of air as it missed him. In that moment, he saw Zik in danger again, caught by another enemy. "No," he shouted, fear gripping his heart. Without thinking, he rushed forward, using all his strength to push the enemy away. With a loud crash, the enemy fell, freeing Zik. "Thank you," Zik gasped, and together they regrouped. The Deathworlder felt a fire inside him. They would not lose. They had to keep fighting. As the battle continued, they pushed deeper into enemy lines. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. The enemy creatures, once fierce and confident, started to falter. Their numbers began to dwindle, and the Deathworlder could feel hope rising among his friends. "We can do this," he shouted. "Let's finish this together." With one final push, the combined strength of Grak, Zik, and the other aliens surged forward. They fought with everything they had left, focusing on the enemy leader, a massive creature that commanded the others with a terrifying presence. It was time to end this once and for all. The Deathworlder, filled with determination, led the charge toward the leader. He swung his stick with all his might, and Grak followed close behind. The creature turned, eyes wide with surprise. With one final blow, the Deathworlder struck true. The enemy leader fell, crashing to the ground. A cheer erupted from the group. The remaining enemies, seeing their leader defeated, turned and fled in panic. The Deathworlder and his friends stood tall, breathing heavily but victorious. They had won. As they caught their breath, the Deathworlder looked at his friends, feeling overwhelming gratitude. They had fought together, and through their courage, they had protected their home. This victory was hard-won, and he knew it would bond them forever. The sun began to set, casting a golden light over Zoltar. Together, they had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. And in that moment, they celebrated not just their victory, but their friendship, a bond that would last through any challenge they might face in the future. The battle was over, but the fight had left its mark. The Deathworlder stood among his friends, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle on his shoulders. They had won, but not without cost. Some of the aliens were injured, their bodies showing signs of the fierce conflict. The Deathworlder looked around at the faces of his friends, each one bearing the signs of the struggle they had faced together. "Let's gather everyone," he said, his voice steady. "We need to help those who are hurt." Zik nodded, its eyes wide with concern. Grak stepped forward, its usual strength softened by a touch of worry. "I can find more herbs and supplies," it said. The Deathworlder felt grateful for his friend's spirit. Together, they would heal. They moved quickly, checking on each other. The Deathworlder first approached Zik, who had a small cut on its arm. "It's just a scratch," Zik said bravely, trying to smile. But the Deathworlder knew it needed attention. He found some leaves nearby, carefully crushing them to create a healing paste. "This will help," he said, gently applying it to Zik's wound. Zik winced, but soon relaxed. "Thank you," it whispered, appreciating the care. Next, they turned to Grak. The larger alien had a deep bruise on its side, a reminder of a close encounter with an enemy. "I can handle it," Grak said, trying to wave them off. But the Deathworlder shook his head. "You helped us fight. Now let us help you." With Grak's permission, he used the healing paste on the bruise, gently pressing to ease the pain. As they worked together, the Deathworlder felt a sense of peace. Each act of kindness brought them closer, healing not just their wounds but their spirits. The weight of battle slowly lifted as they shared stories of bravery and laughter, reminding one another of the strength they found in unity. After tending to the injuries, they gathered around a small fire, the warmth comforting against the cool night air. The Deathworlder looked at the flickering flames, and then at his friends. "We faced a great threat today," he began, his voice filled with emotion. "But we also showed that we are stronger together. No matter what happens, we will always have each other's backs." Zik nodded, its three eyes shining. "Yes, together, we are unstoppable." Grak added with a deep growl, its confidence returning. The Deathworlder felt his heart swell with pride. They had fought hard, and now they were healing together. As the night wore on, they shared stories of their homes, their cultures, and their dreams for the future. Zik spoke of the beautiful lakes on Zoltar, while Grak shared tales of ancient warriors who once defended their land. The Deathworlder told them about Earth, his home planet, and how he had found a family in this strange world. As laughter and stories filled the air, the Deathworlder noticed something magical happening. The wounds, both physical and emotional, began to fade as they connected on a deeper level. They were no longer just allies in battle. They were friends and family. The stars twinkled above them, a reminder of the universe's beauty. The Deathworlder felt a warmth in his heart, knowing that no matter where he was, he had found a place to belong. As he looked around at his friends, he understood that healing was not just about fixing wounds. It was about sharing love, support, and laughter. And in that moment, surrounded by his new family, he knew they could face anything together. The future held many challenges, but they would meet them head-on, united and stronger than ever. Together, they would heal, grow, and continue to write their story on the vibrant canvas of Zoltar. Days turned into weeks on Zoltar after the fierce battle, and life began to settle into a new rhythm. The Deathworlder, now a cherished member of the alien community, felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. The scars of battle had faded, but the bonds they formed during those dark times were stronger than ever. The vibrant planet continued to amaze him. Each day, he explored its wonders with his friends. Zik took him to the sparkling lakes that shimmered under the sun, while Grak showed him the lush forests filled with strange plants and animals. Together, they discovered hidden waterfalls, climbed tall cliffs, and even danced under the stars, celebrating their victories and friendships. But one morning, as the sun rose over the horizon, the Deathworlder felt a tug in his heart. He realized that while Zoltar was now his home, he had to share the stories of his journey with others. "I need to tell them about us," he said to Zik and Grak as they sat around a fire, enjoying breakfast. Zik tilted its head curiously. "Tell who?" it asked, its 3 eyes sparkling with interest. "The humans on Earth," the Deathworlder explained. "I want to show them what we've built together. I want them to know that different beings can unite, fight for one another, and create something beautiful." Grak nodded in agreement. "Your story is important. It can inspire others. But how will you do it?" The Deathworlder thought for a moment. "I can send messages. I can use technology to share our journey with the people back home. But I need your help to show them what Zoltar is truly like." Zik jumped with excitement. "I can help. We can record our adventures." Grak let out a deep growl of approval, its eyes filled with enthusiasm. Together, they began planning how to document their life on Zoltar. They gathered materials from the land, colorful leaves, stones, and even flowers, to create a unique way to tell their story. The Deathworlder set up a small recording device he had brought from Earth, and together they began capturing their daily lives, showcasing the beauty of their friendship and the wonders of their world. Each day, they created videos filled with laughter, adventure, and the lessons they learned along the way. The Deathworlder shared stories of the battle they fought, emphasizing the strength of their unity. "We showed that even the fiercest enemies can become the best of friends," he said in one of the recordings. "Together, we can overcome any challenge." As they worked on their project, the Deathworlder felt a sense of purpose. He was sharing not just his story, but the story of a community that had come together in the face of adversity. They wanted to inspire others to embrace differences and work together, no matter where they came from. After weeks of hard work, they finished their first video. The Deathworlder sat down with Zik and Grak, excitement bubbling in his chest. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice trembling with anticipation. Together, they pressed the button to send their video to Earth. As it uploaded, the Deathworlder felt a wave of hope wash over him. This was not just a new chapter for him, but for all of them. They had created something special, a bridge between two worlds. In that moment, he knew their friendship would continue to grow, shaping the future in ways they had yet to discover. The Deathworlder smiled, looking at his friends. "This is just the beginning," he said, his heart full of optimism. They were ready to face whatever came next, together as a family. And in sharing their story, they hoped to inspire others to join them on this incredible journey of unity and love. In a galaxy far from Earth, tensions were rising. Stars shone brightly, but dark clouds loomed over the planets. The alien races were restless. Many factions had been eyeing the small blue planet called Earth. They saw humans as weak, but they did not know what was coming. In the heart of the human colony, a brave soldier named Alex prepared for trouble. He had short brown hair and a determined look in his eyes. He loved his home and would do anything to protect it. Alex spent his days training with other soldiers, running drills, and practicing combat skills. They trained hard, knowing the aliens might attack at any moment. Meanwhile, in a distant spaceship, an alien leader named Zarak watched Earth from afar. Zarak was tall and had green skin that glowed faintly in the dark. He had a reputation for being ruthless and clever. He commanded a massive fleet of ships ready to invade. As he looked at the blue planet, he felt confident. Humans are nothing but bugs, he sneered. It will be easy to crush them. But not everyone agreed with Xerox. Some aliens feared the humans. They had heard stories of human bravery and strength. Among them was a wise alien named Ilara. She had silver skin and large, bright eyes. Ilara was known for her wisdom and peaceful ways. She believed in finding common ground, not fighting. We should talk to them, not fight, she urged her fellow leaders. But Xerox dismissed her words. He was ready for war. Back on Earth, Alex sensed that something was wrong. The air felt heavy, and whispers of danger filled the colony. One evening, while training with his friends, an alarm rang through the base. Red lights flashed, and a voice echoed over the speakers. All personnel, prepare for attack. Repeat, prepare for attack. Panic spread quickly. Soldiers grabbed their weapons, ready to defend their home. Alex's heart raced. He shouted to his team, "Stay calm. We have trained for this. We must protect our families." His words gave them strength, and they moved as one toward the command center. As they reached the command center, the screens lit up with images of alien ships approaching Earth. The ships were massive, dark shadows against the stars. Alex's eyes widened. "We need to act fast," he said. "We must defend our colony. We cannot let them take our home." The commander, a grizzled veteran named Captain Ramirez, took charge. "Listen up, everyone. We are outnumbered, but we are not outmatched. Humans are strong, and we fight for our freedom. Prepare to engage the enemy." Outside, the alien ships descended. They unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, striking the colony. Buildings shook, and explosions lit up the night sky. Alex and his team jumped into action, manning the defense systems. "We can do this," he shouted, determination filling his voice. As they fought back against the alien forces, Alex realized this was just the beginning. The dark clouds had gathered, and a storm was coming, but he refused to back down. He would fight for his home and for the future of humanity. In that moment, as the battle began, Alex felt a fire ignite within him. He was ready to face whatever came next. The day of reckoning had arrived, and humanity would not go down without a fight. The battle raged on as the alien ships continued their assault on Earth. Bright flashes lit up the sky, and the sound of explosions echoed across the colony. Alex, the brave soldier, fought alongside his friends, determined to protect his home. But as he looked around, he knew they needed more than just courage to win this fight. After hours of battling, the humans managed to push back the first wave of aliens. They had lost many brave souls, and the cries of their fallen comrades filled the air. Exhausted but resolute, Alex gathered his team in a small command center where the flickering lights struggled to stay on. "Listen up," Alex called out, his voice steady despite the chaos outside. "We've shown them we can fight, but we need to prepare for what's next. They will come back stronger. We must rally all our forces and show them what humanity can do." The team nodded, their faces a mix of fear and determination. They had fought bravely, but they needed a plan. Just then, Captain Ramirez entered the room, his face serious. "I've received reports that the alien fleet is regrouping," he said. "We need to act fast. If we don't strike now, they will take the fight to us again." Ilara, the wise alien leader who had warned against war, suddenly appeared on the screen. Her image flickered but remained clear. "I have a message for you, humans," she said. "Not all of us wish to fight. Many aliens are scared of this war. I believe we can find a way to stop the fighting." Alex was surprised to see her. "We can't trust them," he said, remembering the devastation they had faced. "Xerox wants to destroy us." "I know," Ilara replied. "But if you can show your strength, maybe we can turn the tide. Some alien factions want peace. If you fight bravely, they might join your side. We need to show them that humanity is not to be underestimated. Captain Ramirez nodded, considering her words. We need allies. If we can unite with those who want peace, we might stand a chance. He turned to Alex and the team. Are you ready to fight for more than just survival? Are you ready to fight for the future? The soldiers looked at one another, their spirits lifted by the idea of unity. Yes, they shouted in unison. Alex felt a surge of hope. This was not just about fighting back. It was about building a new future. With a renewed sense of purpose, the humans quickly set to work. They sent out messages to other human colonies, calling for help and support. They also reached out to Ilara's allies, hoping to convince them to join the fight against Zarak. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the battlefield, Alex stood on a hill overlooking the colony. He could see the smoke rising from the ruins, but he could also see the resolve in the eyes of his fellow soldiers. We will not back down, he promised himself. We will show them our strength. The call to fight had been sounded, and humanity was ready to rise up. They would stand together, not just for their own survival, but for the hope of a better future. The dark clouds of war still loomed overhead, but now there was a flicker of light shining through. The air was thick with tension as dawn broke over the battlefield. Alex stood with his fellow soldiers, their hearts pounding with both fear and excitement. Today would be their first real fight against the alien invaders. They had trained hard for this moment, and now it was time to prove their strength. Stay focused, Captain Ramirez shouted, rallying the troops. We've got one chance to show them that humans are not weak. Remember your training and stick together. As the humans prepared for battle, the sound of engines roared in the distance. Alien ships appeared on the horizon, dark shapes against the brightening sky. Alex's heart raced as he watched the ships descend, their sharp edges glinting in the morning light. He gripped his weapon tightly, determination shining in his eyes. Here they come, a soldier yelled, pointing to the sky. The alien ships unleashed a volley of energy blasts, bright beams of light streaking toward the ground. The humans scattered, seeking cover behind the rocky outcrops and makeshift barriers. Return fire, Captain Ramirez commanded, and the humans responded. They fired their weapons, and bright flashes lit up the field. The blast struck the alien ships, but the enemy armor was strong. Alex watched as a few of his fellow soldiers fell, their cries echoing in the chaos. Stay together, don't panic. Alex shouted, trying to keep his team focused. He spotted an alien ship that had taken damage and was struggling to stay in the air. Let's target that one, he urged his team. With a collective shout, they aimed and fired, sending another burst of energy at the crippled ship. It exploded in a shower of sparks, a small victory that lifted their spirits. But the alien forces were relentless. More ships arrived, and soon they were outnumbered. Alex could see the fear on the faces of some of his comrades, but he refused to let doubt creep in. We can do this, he yelled. Remember, we are fighting for our homes. As the battle intensified, Alex noticed a group of aliens landing on the battlefield. They were tall and menacing, with sleek bodies and sharp claws. The soldiers' hearts sank. These were the elite fighters of Zarak's army. Get ready, he called, knowing they had to hold their ground. The aliens charged, and the humans met them head-on. Alex felt adrenaline surge through his veins as he fought alongside his friends. He dodged a strike from an alien and countered with a swift blow, taking down one of the attackers. Around him, his fellow soldiers fought bravely, showing their strength in numbers. But then, a blaring alarm rang out. Reinforcements needed at the east flank. A voice crackled over the radio. Captain Ramirez looked at Alex, determination in his eyes. We need to split up. Some of us will hold the line here, while others help the east flank. Can you lead a team there? Of course, Alex replied, adrenaline pumping. He quickly gathered a small group of soldiers, their faces set with resolve. Let's move, he commanded, and they dashed toward the east flank, leaving the main battle behind. As they ran, Alex felt a mix of fear and excitement. This was the moment they had been training for, and he knew they had to fight with everything they had. They would show the aliens that humans were not to be underestimated. The sounds of battle echoed across the battlefield, but amid the chaos, hope was rising. Alex and his fellow soldiers had fought hard against the alien forces, and now, after days of conflict, they were ready for a big breakthrough. They had gathered valuable information and were eager to put their plan into action. In the command center, Captain Ramirez stood before a large screen displaying the enemy's movements. "We have been watching the aliens closely," he said, his voice steady. "Their forces are regrouping after our last attack. This is our chance." Alex felt a rush of excitement. "If we strike now, we might catch them off guard," he suggested. "We can disrupt their supply lines and take out their command center." The captain nodded, impressed by Alex's determination. "Good idea. We need a small, skilled team to infiltrate their main base. This could change everything for us." Mia, one of Alex's closest friends, stepped forward. "I'll go with you. We can't let this opportunity slip away." Others in the room expressed their willingness to join the mission, eager to take part in what could be a turning point in the war. After a quick briefing, Alex, Mia, and a few other soldiers set off under the cover of darkness. They moved silently through the forest, their hearts racing with anticipation. As they approached the alien base, they could see the massive structures glowing with bright lights. The aliens were clearly not expecting an attack so soon. "This is it," Alex whispered, glancing at his team. "Stay low and stick to the shadows." They crept closer, carefully avoiding the patrols. When they reached the perimeter of the base, they could hear the aliens talking. "We will crush the humans in the next battle," one alien boasted. "Xeroc's orders are clear." Alex exchanged glances with Mia, and they both knew they had to act quickly. "We need to find the command center and shut it down," he said. "That's where they make their plans." As they slipped into the base, they navigated through dark hallways and alien technology that hummed and buzzed around them. The tension was thick in the air, but Alex felt a growing sense of purpose. This was their chance to turn the tide. Finally, they'd reached a large door marked with strange symbols. "This has to be it," Maya said, her eyes wide. Alex nodded and pressed the control panel beside the door. To their surprise, it opened with a hiss. Inside, they found the command center bustling with alien officers. They were busy studying maps and issuing orders. Alex and his team quickly took cover behind a large console. "We need to create a distraction," Alex whispered. "Then we can take them by surprise." Mia nodded and pulled out a small device. "I can set this to explode in a few seconds. It will draw their attention." "Do it," Alex urged. Mia activated the device and tossed it across the room. It landed with a clatter, and the aliens turned to look. The moment was perfect. Alex and his team sprang into action, charging forward with weapons raised. "For humanity," Alex shouted. The aliens were caught off guard, and chaos erupted. The humans fought bravely, taking down the officers one by one. As they pushed deeper into the command center, Alex felt the weight of their struggle lift. They were finally making progress. After a fierce fight, they managed to disable the aliens' main communication system. The room fell silent, and the humans stood victorious, breathing heavily. This was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. "We did it," Mia exclaimed, grinning from ear to ear. Alex could hardly believe it. They had struck a blow against the aliens, and now they had a chance to turn the war in their favor. But as they prepared to leave, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that the fight was far from over. They had won this battle, but the war was still raging on. The battle had raged on for days, and the humans were tired but determined. They had fought bravely against the alien invaders, but Alex knew that they needed more than just strength to win. They needed to outsmart their enemy. In the command center, Alex gathered with Captain Ramirez and his closest friends. We have to find a way to turn the tide, Alex said, his brow furrowed with worry. Zarok's forces are strong, but I believe we can use their own tactics against them. Like what? One of his friends, Mia, asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. What if we create confusion among the alien ranks? Alex suggested. If we can spread rumors or fake a retreat, we might be able to trick them into breaking formation. Captain Ramirez nodded slowly, seeing the plan take shape. It could work. We just need to be careful. The aliens are smart, and if they catch on, it could backfire. We have to act fast, Alex said. Every moment counts. Let's split up and gather information. We need to find out what Zarok's next move will be. The team moved quickly. They disguised themselves as alien soldiers, using stolen uniforms and equipment. With each step, their hearts raced with excitement and fear. They crept through the alien camp, listening carefully to conversations around them. As they listened, they overheard a group of alien officers discussing their plans. We will crush the humans once and for all, one of them said, a sneer on his face. Zarok wants no more delays. We will attack at dawn. Alex signaled to his team to back away quietly. We have to warn everyone, he whispered. They hurried back to their command center, adrenaline pumping through their veins. When they arrived, Captain Ramirez was waiting for them. Did you find anything? He asked, looking hopeful. Yes, they plan to attack at dawn. Alex replied, his voice urgent. We need to prepare our defenses and create a distraction. If we can fake a retreat, it might confuse them long enough for us to strike back. The captain's eyes lit up with determination. All right, let's put the plan into action. We'll need everyone's help to make this work. As night fell, the humans set their plan in motion. They sent out small teams to make noise and create chaos at the enemy camp. Explosions echoed in the distance, and the alien forces began to stir, unsure of what was happening. Meanwhile, Alex and his friends prepared for the main event. They spread false information among the alien ranks, pretending that the humans were retreating. They're scared, one alien shouted. They're pulling back. The aliens began to panic. They were used to seeing humans as weak, and now they were confused. This was the moment Alex had been waiting for. Now, he shouted to his team. As dawn broke, the humans launched their surprise attack. With the aliens in disarray, the humans fought with renewed strength. The sounds of battle filled the air as they pushed forward, catching the aliens off guard. Amidst the chaos, Alex felt a surge of hope. They were turning the tide of the battle. They had outsmarted their enemy, and now they would show Zarok that humanity would not be easily defeated. But as the fight continued, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much bigger game. Tricks and treachery were part of war, and he wondered how far they would have to go to secure their victory. The atmosphere in the command center was electric. After their big breakthrough, Alex and his team returned to find the room buzzing with excitement. They had struck a heavy blow against the aliens, but the war was far from over. Zarok and his forces were still out there, ready to retaliate. Captain Ramirez stood before the gathered soldiers, his voice firm. We have dealt a significant blow to the alien command structure, he began, pacing the room. But we must be ready for their next move. Zarok will not give up easily. Alex felt the weight of the captain's words. What's our plan? He asked, eager to contribute. We need to gather our forces and prepare for a final assault. Ramirez explained. Zarok's main base is located on the planet's surface, heavily guarded but vulnerable. We have to hit them where it hurts. Mia, standing beside Alex, nodded. But how do we get past their defenses? They'll be expecting us now. The captain smiled, appreciating their concern. We will use their overconfidence against them. We need to create a diversion while a smaller team infiltrates their base. This is our chance to end this war once and for all. Alex felt a surge of excitement. They had a plan, and this time, they would not hold back. "I want to be part of the infiltration team," he said, his voice steady. "We've come this far. I can't sit back now." Captain Ramirez looked at him thoughtfully. "I admire your courage, Alex. You will be part of the team. But remember, we need to work together. This mission requires precision." The soldiers quickly began to strategize. They split into groups, each taking on different tasks. Some worked on gathering supplies and weapons, while others focused on communication and tactics. Alex felt the thrill of purpose coursing through him as he joined his friends in preparing for the mission. As night fell, they worked tirelessly. Maya and Alex tested their equipment, making sure everything was in top shape. "If we're going to do this, we have to be ready for anything," Maya said, checking her gear. "We will be," Alex replied, confidence shining in his eyes. "This is our moment." The next morning, the team gathered for a final briefing. Captain Ramirez stood before them, his expression serious but filled with hope. "Today, we fight not just for survival but for our future," he said, his voice strong. "We have a chance to end this war. Trust each other, and we will succeed." The soldiers cheered, a wave of determination washing over them. Alex felt the energy in the room, a feeling of unity and strength. They were ready to face whatever came their way. As they moved toward their ships, Alex took a deep breath, knowing that this was it. They would fight with everything they had. The final battle loomed ahead, and he could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. With his friends by his side, Alex boarded the ship. The engines roared to life, and they soared into the sky, heading straight for the heart of the enemy base. "We can do this," Alex shouted, adrenaline pumping through his veins. They flew closer to the enemy's position, determination etched on their faces. The time for fear was over. This was their fight, and they were ready to take back their planet. The atmosphere was tense as Alex and his team approached the alien base. The sky was dark with clouds, and flashes of lightning illuminated the landscape. This was it, the moment they had trained for. They were ready to face Zeruk and his forces. As their ship landed, Alex felt his heart race. The ground shook beneath them, and the distant sounds of battle echoed through the air. "Stay focused," he reminded himself. "We can do this." The team quickly disembarked and moved into position. Captain Ramirez gathered them together. "Remember the plan," he said, his voice steady. "We create a diversion to draw the aliens out, while a smaller team infiltrates the main building. We need to take out Zeruk." Maya looked determined as she checked her weapon. "Let's do this. For humanity." The soldiers nodded, adrenaline pumping. They had come too far to turn back now. With one last deep breath, they charged forward, ready to fight. The battle began with a deafening roar. Alex and his team opened fire, aiming at the alien guards. Bright beams of energy lit up the dark sky, and explosions rocked the ground. The aliens responded quickly, their own weapons firing back. It was chaos, but Alex felt alive, fueled by the thrill of the fight. "Cover me," Alex shouted to Mia as he sprinted toward the enemy's command center. He could see Zeruk's massive ship hovering above, a dark shadow against the lightning-lit sky. They needed to reach it. As Alex ran, he dodged energy blasts and returned fire, taking down several alien soldiers. He could feel the heat of the battle all around him, and it only made him more determined. "We have to push through," he yelled to his teammates. Mia and the others fought hard, pushing deeper into the enemy base. They fought side by side, each soldier covering the other. The teamwork was flawless, a testament to their training and resolve. Suddenly, they spotted Zeruk's command ship, surrounded by guards. Alex knew this was the moment they had been waiting for. "This is it," he shouted. "Let's finish this." They charged toward the ship, engaging in a fierce fight with the alien guards. The aliens were strong and relentless, but the humans fought with everything they had. Alex felt a surge of power as he dodged a strike and took down an enemy soldier. Finally, They broke through the guards and entered the command ship. Inside, the control room was filled with advanced alien technology, buzzing with energy. Zarok stood at the center, his eyes narrowed in anger. "You dare to challenge me?" he hissed, his voice cold. "We do dare," Alex shouted back, raising his weapon. "This ends now." The final battle was intense. Alex and his team fought with all their might, facing off against Zarok and his elite guards. The room exploded with energy blasts and chaos, each side determined to win. Alex felt the weight of the world on his shoulders as he battled Zarok. They exchanged blows, each one pushing the other to the limit. With one final surge of strength, Alex landed a powerful strike, knocking Zarok to the ground. "We are not weak," Alex shouted, standing tall over the fallen alien leader. With Zarok defeated, the remaining alien forces began to retreat. The humans had won, but the battle had changed them all. They had fought for their future, and together, they had triumphed. As Alex looked around at his friends, he knew that this victory was just the beginning. They had shown the universe that humanity was strong, and they would never give up. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of burnt metal as Alex stood amid the ruins of the alien base. The battle was over, and the humans had emerged victorious. However, victory felt strange. They had won, but at what cost? As Alex looked around, he saw his friends tending to the wounded and collecting the remains of their fallen enemies. The once bustling command center was now silent, the sounds of battle replaced by the quiet of aftermath. Mia walked up to him, her face streaked with dirt and sweat, but her eyes sparkled with determination. "We did it, Alex," she exclaimed, a smile breaking through her exhaustion. "We really did it." Alex nodded, feeling a mix of pride and sorrow. "Yes, we did, but we have to remember those we lost." He glanced toward a small group of soldiers gathered at a makeshift memorial, honoring their fallen comrades. Captain Ramirez approached, his expression serious. "We fought bravely, but we must also think about the future. The aliens will not give up easily. They may regroup and come back for revenge." Mia frowned. "What do we do now? We can't live in fear of them coming back." "We rebuild," Ramirez replied, his voice steady. "We strengthen our defenses and unite the other human settlements. We need to show the universe that we are not to be underestimated." As the team gathered for a debrief, Alex felt a new sense of purpose. They had faced great danger, but they had also shown incredible strength and resilience. He looked at his friends, their faces worn but filled with hope. "We need to share our story," he said, standing taller. "The universe must know what we achieved today." The soldiers nodded, understanding the weight of his words. They had proven that humanity was strong, and now it was time to inspire others. They began discussing plans for sending messages to other planets and communities, sharing their victory and rallying support for future battles. In the following days, Alex and his friends worked tirelessly to repair the damage caused by the battle. They collected supplies, rebuilt defenses, and trained new recruits. Each day brought challenges, but they faced them together, united in their mission. As they prepared for a brighter future, Alex found himself reflecting on the journey they had taken. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and loss, but they had also discovered their strength. The fight had changed them, and they would carry those lessons forward. One evening, as the sun set over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the base, Alex gathered with his friends. "We have fought for our survival," he began, looking into their eyes. "But we have also fought for something greater, a chance for peace." Mia smiled, her eyes shining. "And we will keep fighting, no matter what comes next." "Together," Alex added, raising his fist in solidarity. The others joined in, echoing his words. "Together." As they stood united, they knew the fight was far from over. They would face whatever challenges lay ahead, but they would do so with the knowledge that they were not alone. They were a team, a family, and they would continue to protect their home and each other. With hope in their hearts, they looked toward the future, ready to embrace whatever came next. The fight had forged them into something greater, and now they would rise together. The sun rose over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was a new day, and the air felt fresh and hopeful. After the battle against the aliens, life was slowly returning to normal. Alex stood outside, watching the sunrise, feeling grateful for this new beginning. The base was buzzing with activity. Soldiers were repairing the damage from the fight, while others were training new recruits. Mia joined Alex, her hair blowing gently in the morning breeze. "Looks like everyone is ready for a fresh start," she said, smiling brightly. "Yeah," Alex replied, feeling the sense of peace. "We've been through so much, but now we can focus on rebuilding." As they walked through the camp, they could see the changes taking place. Tents were being replaced with stronger shelters, and makeshift walls were being built for better defense. The team was working hard, determined to ensure their safety for the future. "Have you thought about what comes next?" Maya asked, looking at Alex with curiosity. "What do you want to do?" Alex paused, considering her question. "I want to make sure that everyone knows our story. We need to tell others about what happened here so they can be prepared if the aliens come back." Mia nodded. "That's a great idea. We should reach out to other human settlements and share our experience." With renewed purpose, Alex and Mia gathered the team. They brainstormed ways to communicate with other groups, creating messages that detailed their victory and the need for unity. They decided to use ships to deliver their messages across the stars, ensuring that their story would be heard. As they sent their first message, Alex felt a sense of pride. They were not just survivors, they were pioneers, ready to share their knowledge and strength with others. "This is just the beginning," he said, excitement bubbling in his chest. Days turned into weeks, and the camp began to thrive. People from nearby settlements came to join them, bringing new ideas and skills. The once small group grew into a strong community. They held meetings to discuss their plans and work together to improve their defenses. One evening, as the stars twinkled above, the community gathered around a large fire. Captain Ramirez stood to address everyone. "We have faced great challenges, but we have also found great strength," he began, his voice resonating with hope. "Together, we will build a brighter tomorrow." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Alex felt a wave of excitement. This was more than just survival, it was a chance to thrive. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams for the future. People spoke of new inventions, farms, and a peaceful life free from fear. Maya leaned closer to Alex. "Do you think we'll ever see the end of the aliens?" she asked, her voice low. Alex thought for a moment. "I believe we will, but even if they come back, we'll be ready. We have each other, and together we are strong." As the fire crackled and the night deepened, Alex felt a sense of belonging. They had faced darkness, but now they were stepping into the light. The future was uncertain, but it was also filled with possibilities. With a heart full of hope, Alex looked around at his friends and family, knowing that they would face whatever came next together. They had fought for their survival, and now they would fight for a bright tomorrow.